and we are going to do another to buy or not to buy today. In these videos, I talk about new makeup, mostly focused on eyeshadow, which is the part of makeup that I love. And we generally talk about indie brands. And because I'm on a low buy, I'm mostly going to talk myself out of buying these. And I'm hoping to encourage you to also say no to the makeup that you don't need. Most of this we might already have a dupe of or be able to do with what we already have. Otherwise, you can just watch this for entertainment, obviously. If that sounds good, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up and let's jump right in. Candle for the day is pumpkin spice, and yes, that time of the year has already started for me. Nails, in case you're wondering, and I'm gonna do a short of this or reel on Instagram, is this one from Cliona, Peach Belini. This is a gorgeous, gorgeous summery multi-chromey shade. I'm wearing like 10 layers though. It's a little bit more translucent than what it looks like on my nails. But anyway, I also have some coffee. It's a little later in the day, but we have to get through this video. I am filming this video on Sunday, and I'm probably going to post it in a day or two. So if there are super recent things released, they might not be in this video. Let's jump in. For this video, I look at a few channels on Instagram. They are marked in the description box below if you are curious. And I'm currently watching a reel from Shine by SD saying, "Are you a holographic multichromes lover?" And I'm wondering if this means they're going to be releasing some newer things, because they just had a few things sneak peek that I think are either releasing or they might have just released. For this video, I'm going to continue using my dupe of Botanical. I love this palette and these dupes. I thought about using one of my Glaminatrix palettes because Glaminatrix is releasing something so pretty. And now that I already said that, let's talk about it. It's called Barely Basic, and I think Glaminatrix is sort of moving into this kind of a composition for their palettes. What is that? 20 pan, but vertical, not horizontal. And you all know, I love Glaminatrix. I love their quality. I have a lot of their multichromes, and I find their quality of multichromes and the funness of their colors pretty good for my taste. The core question with this palette is, do I already have this? Because this palette looks awfully like this one. And in fact, I kind of feel like this palette might even be a little more versatile because it has some pinks, some greens. At the same time, what I thought was that I do dupe a lot. And I thought this kind of a palette would be ideal to get around that problem because this palette has all kinds of browns. Like, this palette is a heaven for neutral lovers. The palette's $64 and currently it's on pre-order. $64 is quite a chunk of change for me to buy a palette that is I'm not super excited about. You know what I'm saying? I was hoping it was going to be colorful, but I'm actually happy it's not because it's going to save me money. Why am I bothered? I'm not bothered. That's good news. Let's talk about these, which are the reveals from Cryptane. This is also exciting, except that this photo, I don't know if this is the brand's photo or somebody's photo, but I like to see better photos because these photos are clear. The palette's not gonna look like this. It's clearly touched, this photo. So I can't really see the depth of the colors. I can't really see if there's multichrominess. Yeah, this photo is not good enough. From this picture, both palettes look very neutral-ish, but these pictures just make the palettes look super flat and not very exciting. So I don't know if I can depend on this. The interesting thing here, though, beauties, did you realize that the purple and the yellow palette, it's complementary color story, and then they popped in a few sort of brownish colors in there too. If you don't know what I'm talking about, watch my second video on color theory. And then in the other one, you have the blues and the purples and the pink and the teal, which is An analogous color story, yeah. There are quite a few singles revealed from Sinful Echoes over the past, I want to say, few months. And you know what? One thing I'm thinking about a lot is to opt more for singles over palettes, because singles obviously will give me a lot of varieties when I'm duping these different kinds of palettes. So I'm always keeping an eye out for these single reveals. And I'm looking forward to seeing more from Sinful Echoes. But of course, for as long as I'm on a low buy, I casually say that I'm on a no buy in some videos, but I'm actually on a low buy. I have a very strict budget and I try to stick to that for every quarter. I talk about it in a video I'll tag. And for as long as that is going, it just makes more sense if I'm buying things to not really buy palettes and buy singles. I was excited about this one and I can't wait for the reveal. Maybe by the time I edit and put this video up, it's been revealed and I'm going to put the photo if it's revealed on the screen. I'm just assuming based on the eyeshadow of this lady that this is going to be sort of teal purple kind of vibe, and that is also going to be something that is going to be more unique for Artitude Cosmetics, because that's not what we've seen from them. The past two palettes that I remember are a lot more of a fall color story, like foresty kind of things, and I'm actually excited. This is a brand I like to try. I haven't done a video of brands I like to try in 2024. Or did I do one? But Artitude Cosmetics is definitely one of them. Obviously, as long as I can within the budget that I have. But a lot of them are going to get punted to Black Friday sale. We have 6 new holochrome singles from Beauty Moon. And the last color, the one from the bottom, Mustafa, really has me. Because that kind of shade, particularly, first of all, I definitely haven't seen a holochrome version of that shade, but I've also not really seen a whole lot of shimmery reds like that. I talk about a shimmery red from Sydney Grace that I really like, because shimmery red is not a shade you see very often, that kind of shimmery red, not the Christmas red. Not gonna buy this now, but if I were, that would be the color I would pick up. Also, beauties, now that we're talking about holochrominess, there is some holochrome effect in these. I'm gonna find it unlikely that the camera can capture the holochromy effect from the distance, but as I said, I'm gonna try to do a reel and maybe hopefully it's gonna show there. This one I'm also excited about. Terra Moons has disclosed that they are releasing a new collection on August 2nd at 6 p.m. CST, 6 p.m. Interesting. Most brands do it in the day, like during business hours. With Terra Moons, you could use a code to get some money off. With, I think, all of these, you can get a code. I know Terra Moons recently discontinued some of its older shades, so I'm looking forward to see what they have up their sleeves, because, you know, I would imagine a brand wouldn't get rid of stuff without wanting to replace them. They got rid of some of the most popular shades. I have a video about it. You all might have seen that video, but it truly surprised me to see some of the fan favorites go. So I want to see what they have. And now that we're talking about Terra Moons, let me also talk about this one, the Terra Moons palette reveal. And I'm looking forward to the reveal of that one. I am sad to say that I have never been excited about the palettes that Terra Moons had. I have 2 of them from years ago. I hate to say this, but I don't think they do a very good job of curating a palette. It looks like a bunch of random shades put together. As someone who is very artistic, when I see colors next to each other, it inspires me. And the desire to purchase a palette comes from that inspiration. Like, I wanted to dupe this one because the color story of this palette inspired me so much. I was like, I need to dupe this palette and give it my own flair, add some additional shades to it, and so on. But when the palette is so random, I'm just like, okay, what's going on here? I can't see eye looks as I'm looking at the palette. I can't really be inspired by the shades. I don't want to buy the palette. And I mentioned this when I reviewed one of their palettes in 2022, that they should really think more about color stories of their palettes and how many people can actually wear that kind of color story. You know, those kinds of shades. How many people do those kinds of shades look good on? Enough about Terra Moons. Let's move on and talk about this one. I decluttered this palette in my last declutter, right? I think so. I have this. Okay. I have to say this story because I bought this palette as it was being discontinued. In fact, when did it discontinue? 2019, I think, or 2020, early 2020 or something. And as this palette was out the door, towards like when most places didn't even have it, I think Macy's, I picked it up from Macy's online, and it was like one of the last ones they had. I managed to pick this palette up, and I've never used it. It's literally brand new. It's never been touched. I think it was Lauren May Beauty who said she never bought this palette but wanted it. It was one of the bigger influencers, and honestly, when I saw that video of her, I thought to myself to contact her and send her mine. Mine is never touched. It's a brand new palette. I've just taken it out of the box. Yeah, this is coming back, and I don't understand why. Part of this could be because a lot of people are saying colorful eyeshadow is out and more natural looking, barely there eyeshadow is now in. Personally, I couldn't care less. I would wear whatever I want. I don't care. But what I'm wondering about is maybe I should just take this out and use it again. But I just don't use these colors. I don't use these shades, obviously. Releasing August 4th for $60. Yeah, no. No, not buying it, obviously, because I already have it. And I probably didn't even need to buy it the first time around because I haven't used it. Enough of that. Let's move on. My Little Pony with Beauty Creations. Okay. Talking about barely their makeup. Not for me. The only thing that caught my attention here are the brushes, but I'm not in the market for brushes. And also the highlighter blush stick. Because that kind of blush looks good on me, but not a highlighter. I have enough highlighters. Okay, let's get started with the look. I'm going to start with Painterly from MAC. And while this is drying, let me quickly mention about the Sydney Grace Christmas in July sale. The sale is starting tomorrow from the date that I'm filming, so by the time you see this, it's already started, but it's starting on the 29th. They have daily deals and some new palettes. I already talked about the palettes in my last video. Not all the palettes were revealed at that point. I don't know if I'm going to pick any of these palettes up. The summer palette, Western Summer, was sort of appealing, but I feel like I have these. And also one of the pink ones was also appealing, but again, I felt like I have these. But they also have a few other things. They have mystery bags that you can either buy as a mystery bag, and with their mystery bags, you can select what kind of shades you want in your mystery bag. I also believe they have a deal on a particular day that if you purchase a certain amount on that day, there's going to be a mystery bag that can get added to your purchase. Also remember that Sydney Grace doesn't only have eyeshadows. I know I've only talked about their eyeshadows, and in fact I have other shadows from them that are in the liquid form. I have a couple of their liquid multichrome shadows. Now I like Dragonfly. Is it Dragonfly? Yeah, this one is Dragonfly, and let me quickly swatch it for you all because it reminds me of Hyperion from Terra Moons, which was one of the recently discontinued shades. It has a neutral shift, and you all know that that is, in fact, you can barely even see the non-neutral shift. This is sort of neutrally to green, and that's why I like this one. Now, I haven't really used this enough to tell you like that I really like their cream eyeshadow quality or whatever, but in terms of what it looks like, I like it. I also have hooded eyes, so how things might look on my eyes might not be how things look on your eyes. Also, they have some body products. They have brushes. I have purchased their brushes. Now, I like their brushes, but they are not my go-to brushes. Nothing against the brushes. I think they're good brushes. What I mean is that if you have other brushes and you're not in the market for new brushes, you can skip the brushes. They also have body products, like some bath kind of products. And one other thing that I saw that brought me to this whole long rant about their sale is that they have now introduced nail polishes, and these look so pretty. And I just this year purchased a whole lot of nail polishes, and I also already have a list of some nail polishes that are on my to pick up list when I have budget for nail polish, which is not right now. So I don't think I'm going to pick anything from the nail polish part right now. I think what I'm going to be picking up at their sale is going to be pretty much primarily pressed pigment or singles or eyeshadow singles, if you want to call it that, which means that I will probably wait for their day 9 deal, which is the day that they have 35% off of pressed pigments or single eyeshadows. I've already made a list of around, I want to say 10 to 20 shade singles that I'm going to pick up from them that are shades that I don't have. But I'm so curious to know if there are any shades you want to recommend to me. Maybe I don't have them. I have quite a few of their shades, but if there is anything that you're like, this is a must have, you should pick it up. Let me know in the comments below if there is any other product that you think I should have. Let me know in the comments below. Also, if you're excited about any part of this sale, I would also be so curious to know. So please share that as well. And now that we talked about nail polish, I have to talk about this one. Louboutin is releasing nail polishes. Yes, you guessed it right. It's interesting because when I was a kid, when I was like a toddler, nail polish containers look like this. You all remember those days? These nail polishes are $50 a piece. Yeah, I don't have that kind of money, so moving on. And then Persona Cosmetics. Goodness, I have not heard of Persona Cosmetics in years. In years, they're adding a Juicy Day Mask to their collection. This is releasing on the 29th, which is tomorrow. Yeah, brand resurrected from the dead. And then these two from Viseart. Petite's Cool Matte Original and Petite's Matte Cool. I'm having a deja vu with these. Did they have these in a large size that they're now releasing in a small size? Because I thought they had the small size of these. Anyway, Viseart is definitely a brand I want to try at some point. I've just never gotten around to it. I don't know if these palettes are it because they're very neutral. And I already have a lot of plans for the budget that I have available. And these are $40 each. Not yet, at least, but maybe one day. You can use the code beauties on Viseart. Let's get started on the look. I'm gonna use some of my Sydney Grace eye brushes. I don't know if this is everything, so I'm probably gonna have to supplement it with something else. I want to use this quad down here. Let's get started with this one. This is a little bit of a large brush for this, but I will blend it out in a minute. Okay, this one is from Cheer Yep Makeup. I have never heard of this brand. I think this is the Sea Beauty brand, which makes sense because this kind of muted down palette makes sense for a lot of Asian aesthetics. As I mentioned in past videos, there used to be a day where I was into minimalist makeup. Those days passed, and right now that's not the aesthetic I try to go for. Because I have very dark features, if I'm using makeup that's not bold enough, I do run the risk of the makeup being washed off by my dark features and not essentially not showing up on my skin and not really looking like I'm wearing anything or looking like I'm wearing something low quality. So I need to wear makeup that really accentuates and show up on my skin tone. We are also having some dual-ended pencils releasing from Hard Candy. This takes me back to early millennial, like late 1990s. I remember I loved these dual-ended shimmery frosty shades. You all remember those days? Well, maybe you're too young to remember those. We have a Bobbi Brown and Pac-Man. Very interesting. I was not expecting anything colorful from Bobbi Brown. So just seeing some mauves, some blues in that palette already has me looking, but This palette is computer generated. That is not a real palette. It wouldn't look like that if it was real. I have used Bobbi Brown face like concealers and stuff in the past, and it has pretty good quality, but their aesthetic is so neutral, obviously, so not my type of thing. But this has me looking. It's cute. And who doesn't like Pac-Man? Okay, so this one, Exaggerize. New mascara from Charlotte for 32 euros. Beauties, you don't need a 32 euro mascara. Like, that is what, depending on the exchange rate, that could be $40. You don't need a mascara for $40. Come on, you can get probably the same kind of quality mascara for cheaper. Don't get lured by people who try to sell you this so that they get some money on their discount code. It looks like with that palette that we talked about earlier from OXX Cosmetics, they're also releasing brushes. If y'all remember with their first collection that I recall, they also had a very giant brush set. I think at some point I want to try their brushes, and these look beautiful, and these are also purple, so I'm now kind of certain that whatever they're releasing is going to be purpley, maybe sort of a mermaid vibe-ish. LA Girl is releasing Blushin'. Oh, these are cute. Remind me of late 1990s again. These are blush sticks for $4 a piece. Yeah, if you need blushes, hey, maybe these would be nice. I know LA Girl has some nice stuff. I wouldn't be surprised if their blushes are also nice. There's this palette from Blairdale MUA Cosmetics called The Hunter and the Prey. This reminds me of Dream Street. You all remember that palette? I have that palette, so clearly I'm not going to go buy this one. There's a few shades in here that weren't in that, like the deep green and the sort of olivey green, and then there's some other shades in here, but reminds me a lot of that palette, enough that makes me think I have that one, I don't need this one. And I'm really liking that brown. You know what I want to do? I want to do something different and just be creative with it. So I'm going to pick this brush. I'm going to go into the red. I know there's going to be fall off, so I'm going to diffuse it on my hand. And I am just going to use it as close to my lash line as I can. I'm just improvising. And I'm going to try to make this look like a wing. I'm now using that first brush that I dipped into the red or the burgundy, and I'm just gonna bring it close to my lash line. If you don't think this is precise enough, you can use the other brush. Okay, I'm now seeing a little bit here, the space between the red and the brown, and I'm just gonna use that first brush with the brown shade on it. I'm just filling it up. Okay, I'm liking this. I want to do one more thing, and that is I'm gonna put one of these two shades in the inner corner, and I think I'm gonna go with the silver, because the silver, these two shades have enough warmth in them, and that silver is gonna really make it pop. Picking this one from Morphe and Nyan, and going here. Oh, that silver looks legit. I just need to clean this part up a little bit. It kind of went way beyond what I wanted. This is the completed look. I'm gonna go fix a few things, blend a little more, and I'll be right back. I completed the look off camera, and everything that I used on my face, as always, is in the description box below. Again, as always, I'm gonna put a real close-up of this look on Instagram. Let's continue. We have a few more things. First one is this one from Mora Cosmetics. This looks like a, well, first of all, this photo is, I don't think this is a real palette. I think this is created in Photoshop. Regardless, this palette from this photo looks like an interesting version of Adept's collab with Amy Loves Makeup. So if I wanted something like this, that would be the palette I would pick up. But of course, this one is $16 and that one was, I don't remember, but much more expensive. And we talked about Beauty Moon earlier, right? There's also this one, which is gonna launch on the 31st, Once Upon a Time. And it's been a while since palettes really caught my attention, and this one looks nice. Although, I don't know why they have made the pans look dirty. You know what I mean? Like that top shade Wedding, is that a very bright creamy yellow, or is that supposed to have some gray in it? It almost looks like they've created this in Photoshop, but they wanted it to not look like they've created it in Photoshop, so they just like added some additional color into the shade so that it doesn't look like it's sort of a Photoshop made photo. Regardless, it's a nice looking palette, although I do now in closer inspection see some relatively redundant shade, like those two teal shimmers or the pinks. Do you need both pinks? I don't think so. I don't even know if you need all the purples. I wasn't gonna pick this up and I don't have a price, but you can use someone's code if you wanted to pick it up. But you don't need it either, beauties. You don't need it. P. Louise Academy has released these, and you all know I'm always in the market for something to emulsify the lips, so I could see myself pick these up, particularly that I like the ones where you don't have to touch the tip, and these look pretty nice, but it's not going to be today or in the near future. I was going to talk about a couple more things. The first one is this one. How many of these this Too Faced want to release? I feel like they release a moderate dupe of this every year. Do we need all of these? And if you bought any of the old ones, any of the ones they released in the past 6 years that I remember, you don't need this. Don't go buy this for that green shade. You can pick up a single for a fraction of the price from Sydney Grace during their sale. There's also this one from Makeup Forever, and I feel like I haven't talked about Makeup Forever in a half a hot second. $32 each for 6 pans. No. And last but not least, friends, are these from Pat McGrath. And somebody told me that some of the shades in the neutral palette already existed in other palettes before. So if you are interested in picking it up, just beware. Obviously, the colorful one is the one that caught my attention. But first of all, an all shimmer palette, no. And then second of all is that this 4-pan quad is a whopping $56. I mean, I don't know, maybe it has gold specks inside, but what I do know is that I don't have that kind of money. Definitely not to spend on a quad. And with that, beauties, we come to the end. I would love to hear if you managed to talk yourself out of buying any of this new makeup, or maybe you're excited about something that's releasing or has just recently released. Let me know in the comments below. Also, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you watched it this far. And if you like these kinds of videos, you can subscribe to my channel. Also, you can check out my playlist of all of my to buy or not to buys that's going to be recommended to you at the end of the video. I love you all. Have an amazing day. And until next time, bye.